My name is Jim Coston, Lead Pastor at FBCScottsdale. So have you ever been to one of those places that kind of lead you in an art lesson? Some of them are portraits, others, with clay or something like that. Some years ago, I had a friend in New Jersey who was an artist, and he was good. And I brought him in several times to our church just for us to have a fellowship time, and he'd lead us in an art lesson. And we'd start each with about a 8.5 by 11 piece of canvas paper, and he'd have a bunch of the colors that we'd use and brushes, and he'd say, hey, first wet your paper real good, and then get this color and add it to this color and stir it around, and I want you to do this line and make this half this way. And there'd be a point in each of those lessons where we'd look at each other and say, what possibly could this turn out to be? Because he wouldn't tell us ahead of time what we were going to paint, whether it was a pastoral scene or a cityscape or what have you. It was all trusting in him that he knew where we were going. But it would look like chaos on the canvas. It made no sense the way he was leading us. Given the pandemic, you may be feeling like what's happening makes no sense, that there's no direction to it. You may be asking the same question of God that we would ask of him. What is God doing? For this year of 2020, FBCScottsdale decided that as a church we'd have a theme verse, Isaiah 43:19. We even made a sticker for it to share with people. If you'd like one, let us know through the website and I'll be happy to send you one. The first part of the verse says, "For I'm about to do something new. See, I've already begun. Do you not see it?" And in January of this year, we went through this verse, really word for word. You can find those messages on our website. I anticipated, when we as staff kind of decided this would be our theme verse for the church for 2020, I anticipated that God was going to give us some amazing new opportunities to reach people with the gospel, to connect with folks in the new apartment buildings around us, to build on some of the great ministry that we've been doing in 2019, that God was going to give us a chance to live that adventurous life, and that new thing was going to be sharing His message of love with these new neighbors, these new folks, these people that did not have that connection. I did not have COVID-19 in mind. I'm not saying that the coronavirus is God's doing. It is evil. It is a natural evil. It is a mutation of creation. The pandemic is not God's punishment upon us. Rather, it is the outgrowth of the sin of creation. You and I have a hand in that. God didn't thrust it upon us. Rather, our sin and the sin inherent in the world produced it. But I didn't have in mind that when we said, hey, Isaiah 43:19, God is about to do something new, that it would be dealing with the coronavirus, COVID-19. I still believe that Isaiah 43:19 speaks truth. God is doing something new, and it may be difficult to see right now what that looks like. The brush strokes may not match. The color combination may seem off. What is God painting in this picture? But God is doing something new. And goodness, there is a lot of new that's happened. Social distancing, self-quarantine, face masks. There's a lot of new things. It's kind of reshaping a lot of our society in terms of how we'll travel, of retail, of recreation, of interacting with each other. And it is difficult to see exactly what God is doing new positively in this moment. When Isaiah prophesied this to the Israelites, they didn't understand what God was doing either. It seemed chaos and nonsense. They were captive in Babylon. They'd been taken there against their wills. Jerusalem was burned to the ground, the temple destroyed, no stone left upon another. And they were thinking, we're going to die in Babylon as slaves to the Babylonians. How possibly could God get us away? Then Isaiah says, for I'm about to do something new on behalf of God, for I'm about to do something new. See, I've already begun it. Do you not see it? Well, they didn't see it. And they couldn't fathom in their minds what God could possibly do. But God was doing something new. God was bringing up the Persian Empire that would overthrow the Babylonians. And the Persians would tell the Jews, go back to Israel, rebuild your society and your temple, and enjoy your lives. The people had to see through the chaos of the moment to realize that they didn't have the whole picture, that God was at work. For I'm about to do something new. See, I've already begun. Do you not see it? I still anticipate God's new thing being new opportunities for our congregation to share with those around us. And in fact, there may be greater opportunities now because I think people are more open to the gospel. They're willing to hear. They've had to think about death and sickness for a while. I think there's a greater opportunity now to reach people that don't know Jesus. I felt God's Spirit stirring within our church in the midst of planning and keying this verse for our year. I still feel God's Spirit stirring, if not more so now. God is doing a new thing. We are seeing and will see what new opportunities God has for us, for His people and His church. See that new thing. Be a part of what God is doing. You know, my friend Rich, that would always lead us in the painting lessons, we trusted him. We knew his work, and we knew that even if in the midst of it, it looked like nonsense, it looked like a first grade coloring project, that in the end, it would come together, and suddenly we would see this picture that we had a hand in. Suddenly we would see this beautiful landscape, or this ocean scene, or this tranquil mood. Suddenly it would begin to click. And that brushstroke that made no sense, that color combination that we couldn't fathom had some purpose there. Suddenly it all came together. And we saw clearly for the first time what He was leading us toward. That is true with our God. God is doing something new. We may not see it all right now, but we know God is doing it. Isaiah 43:19, for I'm about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? Go forth and see it.